not caused because of immigrants or dirty environments. Welcome to our channel. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about polio the virus. So, polio was a virus which got an outbreak in 1952. Now, remember this, polio had been with us since the ancient Egyptians. Through picture that the ancient Egyptians had carefully carved out, we can see how there will be these small people which will have their legs, both of them, crippled. I guess this was supposed to be an early representation of polio. Seemed that it wasn't that common. But now the only reason why polio came in the 1950s was because of the industrial age, which had started sometime close to now. And so that is why polio became popular. Now you might be thinking that, oh yeah, it was also caused by colonialism and immigrants, but no, you're wrong. In fact, places which had more immigrants actually had less cases of polio, which meant the problem wasn't the immigrants. Also, people started saying that it's the dirty areas which had more polio. But you're actually wrong. In a clean environment, the kid has a higher risk of having polio. And in a dirty environment, the kid kind of has a chance to gain an immunity to polio. And so, polio became more popular for people like in the US and the EU members. And all of Europe soon, which is noticeable because at the time this was the industrial age, when everyone was trying to become clean and stuff. You might be wondering, what happened to the industrial age that polio became such a big name? Well, in the industrial age, people went from their towns and villages and went to big crowded cities, and that's why cities like New York exist. So, because of this, polio cases skyrocketed, and at this time had the most cases. Near 50,000 people got infected by polio. And a lot of people died, mostly being kids, who were one of the most affected. Now, just like COVID-19, as we are right now having the problem to be in, it affected the young and the old, mostly the young. And so, young people were getting put to the hospital multiple different times. Now, because if a kid had severe polio, meaning they are paralyzed from the leg to the neck up, kind of meant that you now have to be detained into an iron lung for the rest of your life. An iron lung kind of becomes your own lung, diaphragm, and a lot of other organs which have now just been destroyed because of polio. There are a few points to remember when talking about polio. Point 1. It is a virus, not a bacteria nor a parasite. So whenever someone says polio the bacteria, just know that they're wrong. Point 2. It affects the young and the elderly, almost like coronavirus. Point 3. It boomed in the industrial age. Point 4. It's been here since the ancient Africans. Point 5. Polio has a vaccine, not a cure. Point 6. Polio was not caused because of immigrants or dirty environments. How does polio work? Polio works, and how it gets people infected is very simple. It's usually a disease that happens in the stomach when a fecal matter which has polio in it is eaten by a human being. That's why it affects kids very much. So, when it's eaten by a human being, it stays in the stomach. It won't hurt the human being a lot until it escapes the stomach. And then, that's when the paralysis starts. After it enters the intestines, it will also spread itself into the body's blood system, which then it will multiply itself. As you know, the blood leads to the heart, and the heart leads to the lungs. Now make it manifest in the lungs, which then can cause severe problems with breathing. Now, right now in the intestines, it will make itself to the muscles, and from the muscles, it will paralyze the entire body, making you be unable to walk, sleep, talk, move, and in worst case scenarios, not even breathe. So now here's where the iron lung comes in. So the iron lung will force air into your body and force air out of your body so you'll be able to breathe. Also, you are taught how to frog breathe from a young age, so you'll be able to push it in and out if you're not in your iron lung. So, because of all of this, you could see how it's very hard for a kid who has polio to be living in such a time. So I shall continue with an unlucky person who is now one of the last survivors of polio. So he caught polio very, very long years before the vaccine was discovered, which Kende will talk about. So he couldn't be helped even if the vaccine was made, because a vaccine is not the cure. It just helps people that have either mild or very unnoticeable symptoms of the disease, or people who don't even have it at all, to be able to not catch it again. Not for people that are in severe stages of it. So, such as this man. So, when the man was admitted to the hospital, he was put and detained to an iron lung for the rest of his life. This wasn't going to stop him though. In fact, he actually graduated from law school and got multiple degrees, including a bachelor's degree, including at the age 61, ending up to start to write with his mouth, and eventually started to write a book about all of his problems and why a vaccine and a cure universally would help the world a lot. Now, the guy actually once had his iron lung destroyed once, and then his friend made a literal video to help him to ask somebody who knows how to fix his iron lung to please save the guy. Now, there was a mechanic which was able to fix it for him, and now he's still here living with us. He has finished his book, and he's one of the luckiest survivors of polio still here today. The sad part of the story is that he's still detained to an iron lung, though that does not stop him. He says he is not crippled, and many people might believe that he is now incapable, but he believed that he could do whatever he can possibly believe he can do if he puts his heart into it. That is a beautiful story from one of the polio survivors. Time for me and Sarah to finally explain about what is the polio vaccine, as you can already see. So, at the time of the guy's enclosure into the iron lung, the vaccine only came about 7 years later, which already at the time he was completely paralyzed, so they couldn't vaccinate him or anything. So, this vaccine was made by a guy called Jonas Salks, and his version was the oral version, and this version became super popular over the US. Now, one of the only reasons why this came to fruition was because of FDR, Franklin D. Roosevelt. One of the presidents which actually caught polio and had a big role in the fight against the virus. Now, as a kid, he did not have polio. It was when he was in office at age 31 which he caught the poliovirus. It was then when he was determined to defeat polio, while at the same time to defeat the Nazis who were back in Europe. So now that he was defeating two huge enemies, he is now planning on making a vaccine. But he does not have enough money to get a good vaccine which can actually help people to be able to prevent or survive the vaccine or the sickness. And so here is when the people come in. So Ends up, he tries to ask the people of the United States to donate money so that he can be able to make a vaccine for this terrible virus. And one comedian said that they should all just give him dimes. And they all marched to the White House. And they got millions and millions of donations from everywhere around the world. And so after that, they were able to finally make the first polio vaccine. Then came the next version, which came from an injection. After that, the two creators of the vaccines, actually, instead of teaming up to make the ultimate vaccine to kill polio once and for all, ended up becoming enemies. Why? Because Jonas Salk said that he invented the original version, and so he should be more glorified. But the one which got more use was by another person, who made a version which you can inject into the body. So now the more prominently used one is the oral one, so he's kind of won the case anyway. The thing about John Salk that made him a little unpopular is that he wanted to pattern the polio vaccine. The other guy said that it was almost like patterning the sun. So that's why he became a little unpopular. And so now we have both polio vaccines. Now, before we wrap up this video, let us analyze this beautiful picture which have been put on our board. Now we could see how we have polio right over here, then we have the vaccine right over here, and we have two little civilians. One which does not have the vaccine, and one who does not. Well, let's just say that this guy is protected because of the polio vaccine, while this guy has a chance to die. And so, I just want to tell you that having the polio vaccine will not exactly completely defend you from having any case of ever getting polio, but it is a much more better way to try to prevent it. As you know, prevention is better than cure. And so let us all prevent polio together, as we will the coronavirus. Please like and subscribe for this video, and please ring the notification bell to get daily uploads. And bye guys, and have a happy day.